Before we begin, this broadcast is a fictional audio drama created for entertainment purposes. Good evening, I'm John Vale, and you're listening to Fictional Radio. We're starting tonight with a fairly quiet regional update. A line of light rain has moved out of the western counties and is now breaking apart over the Central Valley. Roads are wet in places, especially along the lower stretches of Route 18 and the old county roads between Mercer and Fairmont, but highway officials are not reporting any major hazards at this hour. Temperatures should hold in the mid-40s overnight, with fog developing after midnight in some of the rural lowlands. If you are driving late tonight, especially west of Belmont, use caution near the construction detours on County Road 6. Crews have shifted traffic around the bridge replacement project, and several drivers have already reported missing the temporary turn in the dark. No injuries there, just a few confused motorists, some mud, and at least one tow truck that probably did not expect to be that busy on a quiet evening. In local news, the State Archive Office announced today that it has completed the first phase of digitizing old county land records dating back to the 1940s. That includes township maps, property transfers, abandoned rail lines, school district records, and some municipal boundary documents. The archive says the project should help families researching local history, especially in rural communities that were absorbed, renamed, or abandoned during the late 20th century. And that is actually where tonight's story begins, although we did not know it when the first call came in. A little less than 40 minutes ago, our newsroom received a message from a county road crew working west of Fairmont near the old Route 18 spur. The crew was not reporting an accident. They were not reporting storm damage. They were not reporting a fallen tree, a washed-out bridge, or anything like that. They were reporting a road sign. That was the first version of this, a road sign. One of the workers said a sign had appeared along the shoulder where no sign had been that afternoon. A green county directional sign, reflective lettering, mounted on two metal posts, clean enough that it looked newly installed. The sign read, Lockwood, 7 miles. Now, if you're listening outside the region, that may not mean much. Lockwood is not a large name. It is not a famous name. Most people under a certain age have probably never heard it at all. But in this part of the state, Lockwood has a history. Or more accurately, it used to. Lockwood was a small town west of Fairmont, up near the old timber road and the northern ridge. It appeared on county maps through the early 1980s. Population a little over 2,000 at its height. A school, a church, a small hospital wing, a diner, a paper mill spur, a radio station, a volunteer fire department, a few streets named after trees, because every town like that has streets named after trees. Then, in 1984, Lockwood was evacuated after what county records describe as a hazardous materials incident connected to the old filtration plant. That is the official version. A hazardous materials incident. Some records call it an industrial contamination event. Some say chemical spill. Some say groundwater breach. The details are not especially clear, partly because the town was small, partly because the company involved no longer exists, and partly because the paper records from that period are incomplete. By 1986, Lockwood had been fully abandoned. By the early 1990s, the road had been closed. By the late 1990s, the town no longer appeared on most commercial maps. Today, what used to be the Lockwood Road is supposed to dead end at a county maintenance gate. That is why the road crew noticed the sign, Lockwood, 7 miles. There is not supposed to be a Lockwood 7 miles from that point. There is supposed to be a gate, a collapsed service road, trees, private timberland, and depending on who you ask, maybe the old concrete foundation of a water tower. At first, County Dispatch assumed the sign was a prank. That would not be shocking. People steal signs, people make fake signs, people put up old historical markers as jokes. There are entire online communities built around abandoned places and local legends. Lockwood has been a ghost town story for years, the kind of thing high school kids talk about when they want to scare each other into driving too far down a dark road. So, again, a prank sign would be the easy explanation. Maybe the only explanation we needed, but then the road crew called back. And this is where the story becomes more difficult. They said the maintenance gate was gone, not open, gone. The posts were not there. The chain was not there. The concrete barriers that had marked the dead end were not there. The old road, which county workers have described as broken, overgrown, and partly washed out, was paved. Not freshly paved exactly, but passable. The crew said their truck headlights showed double yellow lines continuing into the trees. They drove approximately half a mile before stopping and calling dispatch again. County officials told them not to continue. That is where we were about 30 minutes ago. A suspicious road sign, a missing gate, a road that should not be open. At that point, still strange, but maybe explainable. Maybe the road had been restored as part of a private project. Maybe the crew was in the wrong place. Maybe old maps were wrong. Maybe someone had illegally opened the road. Maybe the gate had been removed for maintenance and not logged properly. Then mapping systems began updating. We have now confirmed that at least 3 major consumer map services, 2 county emergency routing systems, and 1 commercial trucking navigation system began showing a road to Lockwood shortly after the crew's report. Not a ghost label, not an old historic marker, a live road. Route 18 spur extending west through the ridge and ending at a town grid labeled Lockwood. Several streets are now visible on those maps. Main Street, Pine Avenue, Hollow Road, Mill Street, Carter Lane, Church Street, Schoolhouse Drive, a town layout. The county GIS office says it did not push an update. The state transportation office says it did not reopen the road. The archive office says its digitized historical maps are not connected to live navigation systems. So we are being careful here. This could still be a data error. Mapping systems pull from multiple sources. Old map layers can reappear. A mislabeled historical data set could be accidentally treated as current. Road networks can be restored in a database even if they're not physically restored in the real world. That happens. But it does not explain the road crew seeing the sign. It does not explain the gate being gone. And it does not explain what happened about 10 minutes ago when a county deputy reached the old Route 18 spur and reported seeing lights, not reflectors, not headlights. The town lights, the deputy's radio transmission, which we are not airing directly yet, reportedly said, "I have visible street lights ahead beyond the ridge." Visible street lights, Lockwood has not had municipal power since 1985, at least officially. We have reached out to the county sheriff's office. They have confirmed that deputies are investigating an unusual access report west of Fairmont. They are not using the name Lockwood in their statement yet. Their statement reads, "County law enforcement and transportation officials are responding to reports of unexpected roadway access near the former Lockwood Township area. The public is asked to avoid the Route 18 spur while crews assess conditions. There is no known threat to public safety at this time." Unexpected roadway access, that is the phrase. Not town, not reappearance, not anything dramatic. Unexpected roadway access. But I want to be honest with you, the newsroom is now receiving messages from drivers who say they can see the same sign. Some say their phones are routing them to Lockwood. Some say their car navigation systems have added Lockwood as a destination. A truck driver on the county frequency reportedly asked dispatch whether deliveries were being routed there again. Again, that word keeps appearing tonight. Again. As if something old has resumed. We are asking listeners not to drive toward the Route 18 spur. I know curiosity is powerful. I know a lot of you are already thinking about it. It is a Friday night. It is not raining hard anymore. And the idea of a town that used to be gone showing back up on a map is exactly the kind of thing people will want to see with their own eyes. Do not go, please. The county is asking people to stay away. The road may be unsafe. There may be active law enforcement. There may be environmental hazards connected to the old Lockwood site. And frankly, we do not know what is happening there. That should be enough. We have an update now from the county sheriff's office. They are confirming that deputies have proceeded approximately 2 miles west of the former maintenance gate location. The road is paved and marked. They're reporting functioning utility poles, though the county utility authority says there should be no live service in that area. Deputies have not entered the town site yet. They are establishing a temporary checkpoint. State police have been notified. County emergency management has been notified. The road crew has been pulled back. And now we are receiving something else. Our engineering room has picked up an AM radio signal on a frequency that is supposed to be inactive. The call sign being identified as WCVR. WCVR was Lockwood's local radio station. It ceased licensed operation in 1984. According to FCC archive records, the license was canceled in 1986 after the town's evacuation, and the station assets were listed as abandoned. The original studio building was reportedly demolished in the late 1980s. The tower was removed, according to the records, or at least marked for removal. But engineering is telling me they are receiving a weak AM signal identifying itself as WCVR Lockwood. I'm going to read the transcript of the station identification they captured. Again, we are not playing the audio yet. We are reading what we have verified. The signal said, "Good evening, Lockwood. This is WCVR serving the Valley and North Ridge. The county road remains closed due to fog conditions. Residents are advised to remain indoors until the midnight siren test has concluded." That was followed by music. old music, according to engineering. They're working to identify it. The phrase that stands out is midnight siren test. We do not know what that means. We do know that old Lockwood emergency records mention a siren system used for mill accidents, severe weather, and civil defense alerts. Whether there was a scheduled siren test on the night of the 1984 evacuation is unknown. We are checking. But to summarize the developments, a road sign for Lockwood has appeared on the old Route 18 spur. A county maintenance gate is gone. The road appears passable. Mapping systems now show Lockwood as an active town grid. Deputies have reported visible streetlights, and an inactive radio station identifying itself as WCVR Lockwood is broadcasting a message about county road closures and a midnight siren. That is where we are, and I know how it sounds. It sounds like a ghost story. That is why we're going slowly, because tonight may still become a story about bad data, old infrastructure, illegal restoration work, radio hobbyists, and local legend feeding on itself. Or it may not. The next confirmed fact will matter. That fact will likely be whether deputies physically enter the town grid. We are waiting for that now. The county sheriff's office is not allowing press near the checkpoint. State police are moving in. The public is being turned around. Tow trucks are being called for several vehicles that reportedly attempted to pull onto the shoulder near the old spur. Again, do not go. Do not block emergency access. Do not become the reason officials cannot reach whatever is there. We have a listener message from someone named Graham who says he grew up near Fairmont in the 1970s. He writes, "My aunt lived in Lockwood. We were told they all evacuated after the plant leak, but my mother never believed that. She said nobody ever saw the buses. She said the town was just closed one day, and after that adults stopped talking about it." But it is exactly the kind of local memory that surrounds abandoned towns. Official records become thin, family stories become thick. And somewhere between them, the past waits for weather like tonight. We have another message from a former county archive volunteer. She says Lockwood's final newspaper issue was dated October 12, 1984, but the library index listed an October 13 edition that was never found. The newspaper was called the Lockwood Ledger. We are attempting to verify that through digitized records. The WCVR signal has repeated. This time the transcript is longer. It says, "You're listening to WCVR Lockwood. Light rain continues across the valley this evening. The county has not yet reopened the East Road. Residents are reminded that the midnight siren test is for public safety purposes only. Please do not approach the ridge line during low visibility." Again, East Road, midnight siren, ridge line, low visibility. That signal is speaking as if Lockwood is still inhabited, as if the road is closed from the inside, as if the town is experiencing ordinary local weather. We have asked the Weather Bureau whether any station is reporting weather from the Lockwood area. They are checking. There should be no active weather station there. We have also asked the utility authority whether power lines west of the old spur could be active. They say no active municipal grid service is listed in that zone. There are transmission lines farther north, but not town-level distribution. Yet deputies reported streetlights. A utility spokesperson just sent the following: "We have no record of service restoration, metered accounts, active transformers, or maintained distribution lines in the former Lockwood Township area. Crews are reviewing historical infrastructure records. No active transformers, no maintained lines. Streetlights visible." That is the contradiction. The Sheriff's Office has just issued an updated advisory. Route 18 spur westbound is closed to all civilian traffic until further notice. State and county agencies are investigating unusual roadway and infrastructure conditions near the former Lockwood Township site. Members of the public are instructed not to approach the area. Former Lockwood Township site, they are using the name now, not town site. That is careful. We now have confirmation that the 1st Deputy Unit has reached what appears to be the old town limit. They are not yet entering Main Street. They report seeing a municipal welcome sign. The sign reads, "Welcome to Lockwood, population 2,312. A good place to come home to. That population figure matches roughly late 1970s census estimates for Lockwood. The sign is illuminated. The deputy reports that the paint looks fresh. There is no visible decay, no overgrowth, no abandoned structures from the approach road. The town appears from the edge intact." I'm going to say that again because it is the first truly major confirmation of the night. Deputies at the old Lockwood site report that the town appears intact, not ruins, not foundations, not an abandoned grid, an intact town. Street lights on, welcome sign, illuminated, buildings visible ahead, We do not have images yet. The sheriff's office is not releasing video. But officials have now escalated this to a state-level incident. State Emergency Management is activating a coordination line. Environmental safety teams are being sent because of Lockwood's historical contamination record. The state police have taken lead on perimeter control, and WCVR is still broadcasting. The signal is now stronger. Engineering says it appears to be coming from the direction of Lockwood, but the propagation is odd. The signal strength does not behave like a normal low-power AM transmitter from that terrain. It fades in and out as if the station is both close and very far away. That is engineering's description, not mine. Close and very far away, we are now receiving messages from people whose navigation systems are showing estimated travel times to Lockwood from their current location. Please ignore those routes. Several map apps are reportedly treating Lockwood as an active destination. That does not mean roads are open. It does not mean the area is safe. It does not mean you should go. The State Transportation Office is working with mapping providers to suppress routing to the town. Until then, do not follow digital directions to Lockwood. A map is not permission. We have a new detail from the deputy at the town limit. He reports seeing a vehicle pass through an intersection ahead. An older sedan, headlights on, traveling slowly across Main Street. He could not identify the driver, no emergency lights, no visible distress, just a car. If that report is accurate, there are vehicles moving inside Lockwood. There may be people. We are waiting for confirmation. The sheriff's office has requested additional units before entering. That is wise. This is no longer a road investigation. This is a possible reoccupation, unauthorized settlement, large-scale hoax, or unknown event involving a town officially abandoned for nearly 40 years. We need to be honest about possibilities. One possibility is that people have been living there illegally or secretly. That would be extraordinary, but not impossible. Remote communities, survivalist groups, trespass settlements, hidden religious compounds, these things exist. But maintaining streetlights, roads, a radio station, businesses, homes, and a town grid without records, utility accounts, tax filings, school registrations, medical records, or satellite detection would be extremely difficult. Another possibility is that the old town was never fully abandoned and official records are wrong or incomplete. Again, difficult, but records fail. Another possibility is a coordinated prank or film production, but the scale, mapping changes, utility contradictions, and law enforcement reports make that less likely by the minute. Another possibility is environmental or perceptual, fog, reflections, old road alignments, radio interference, data overlays. But deputies are physically at the town limit. And then there's the possibility no official will state yet that Lockwood is back. We will not treat that as fact until officials do. But everyone is thinking it. We have just received a message from the State Archive Office. They have located the final confirmed county entry concerning Lockwood from October 13th, 1984. It is a typed emergency operations note. We do not have the full document, but the archive has read us one line, siren active, visibility 0, East Road closed, do not attempt exit. That matches the WCVR references. Siren, East Road, visibility, do not attempt exit. The official evacuation record from 1984 begins the next day, October 14. That means the last operational note before the evacuation was not chemical contamination language, it was a visibility and siren warning. We do not know why. We do not know what happened that night. But tonight, WCVR is broadcasting about a midnight siren test. And the current date inside that broadcasting, if we can determine one, may matter. Engineering is reviewing whether WCVR has mentioned the year. So far, no. But the music, the station format, the weather language, and the call sign style all match early to mid-1980s local radio. We have an update from the Weather Bureau. An inactive station ID associated with Lockwood has begun transmitting weather data to a legacy channel. The station identifier is LW04. It has not transmitted since 1984. The data packet received tonight reports temperature, barometric pressure, wind, and rainfall. The timestamp embedded in the packet is October 13th, 1984. That is confirmed by the Weather Bureau. Let me slow down. A weather station associated with Lockwood, inactive for decades, has transmitted data tonight. The timestamp says October 13th, 1984, the same date as the final emergency operations note. This could be a malfunctioning legacy system replaying old data, but the reported temperature and rainfall roughly match current conditions in the area tonight, so the data is old by date and current by weather. That is not a sentence I expected to say. Old by date, current by weather, the state has now established a restricted perimeter around the Route 18 spur. Environmental teams are still inbound. State police are preparing a controlled entry into Lockwood's main street. The first entry team will include county deputies, state police, an environmental safety officer, and a communications technician. They will attempt to make contact with any residents. The public is advised to stay away. We are going to remain on air. The WCVR signal is now playing what appears to be a local community bulletin. Transcript: Lockwood High reminds parents that the homecoming dance committee will meet tomorrow afternoon in the cafeteria. The Lions will host Fairmont South this Friday if the field dries out. And a reminder from Sheriff Bell, please keep children indoors until the siren test is complete. Reports of low ridge visibility continue, and county crews are working to reopen the East Road. Lockwood High, homecoming committee, Sheriff Bell, Fairmont South. If this is a recording, it is mundane in a way that feels almost worse than an emergency message. Ordinary local announcements, a school dance, a football game, children indoors. A siren test, the voice on WCVR does not sound frightened. It sounds like a town having a strange but manageable weather night in 1984. We are checking old records for Sheriff Bell. The archive office confirms that Harold Bell was Lockwood's sheriff in 1984. He was listed as missing after the evacuation, not deceased, missing. That is important. Several Lockwood officials were listed as missing in the incomplete evacuation records. Most residents were listed as relocated, but the records are inconsistent. Some families challenged the relocation list for years. This is moving from local legend to documentation now. We have a listener message from someone named Elaine. She writes, my father was from Lockwood. He was 17 in 1984. He was visiting cousins in Fairmont when the town was evacuated. His parents and sister were never found. He spent his whole life being told they must have left before records were collected. He is 70 now. He is sitting in my kitchen listening to this, and he keeps saying, my sister would still be 12. That is the emotional reality of what may happen if residents are inside. Time is not only a scientific problem, it is a family problem. If Lockwood returns as it was in 1984, then some people inside may be young while their relatives outside have aged decades. Some may be alive when they were mourned. Some may not understand why the world beyond the road has changed. Some may not believe it, and some outside may see people they lost. That possibility is why officials are asking families with Lockwood connections not to approach the perimeter. It will be very difficult to enforce, but necessary. The entry team is moving now. They have passed the welcome sign. They are on Main Street. We are waiting for reports. The first description from the entry team: streetlights functional. Road surface dry despite recent rain outside town. Storefronts occupied. A diner open. Vehicles parked along the curb. No visible signs of decay. No visible environmental contamination. No obvious panic. They are seeing people, I repeat, the entry team is seeing people on Main Street. The first confirmed contact is with a man outside a service station. He appears to be in his 40s, clothing consistent with mid-1980s style. He reportedly asked the deputies whether the East Road was open. The deputies identified themselves. The man said, about time the county sent somebody. That is the quote being relayed. About time the county sent somebody. He does not appear to believe anything unusual has happened. The entry team is attempting calm conversation. They have not informed residents yet of the year discrepancy. That is wise. You do not walk into a town that thinks it is 1984 and announce immediately that 40 years have passed. Not if you want calm. The man at the service station identified the current date as October 13th, 1984. He says the town has been under a fog advisory since late afternoon. He says the East Road has been closed by county order. He says WCVR has been telling people to stay indoors until it passes. He says the phone lines have been unreliable. He says television reception is out. He says, quote, the ridge is eating signals again. The ridge is eating signals again. We do not know what that means. The entry team is continuing down Main Street. They report the diner is open. Sign reads LC's, several people inside, music playing, a child visible at the counter, a waitress at the window looking at the police vehicles. No one appears alarmed by the town existing. They are alarmed by the modern vehicles. That is the first human detail. To us, Lockwood is impossible. To Lockwood, we are. The communications technician reports that modern cellular service drops sharply inside the town boundary. Radios function, but with distortion, GPS location is unreliable. Vehicle clocks are showing inconsistent times. One body camera briefly displayed a timestamp from 1984 before correcting. That could be a device error caused by signal interference. But it is now in the log. The entry team is being instructed not to proceed beyond Main Street until environmental safety completes air readings. Air readings normal. Chemical sensors normal. No hazardous atmosphere detected. That undercuts the historical contamination explanation, at least tonight. The town is not visibly contaminated. The people are alive. The air is breathable. The road exists. The radio station is broadcasting. The year, according to everyone inside, is 1984. And midnight is approaching. We are still more than 2 hours away from midnight by our clocks. Inside Lockwood, we do not know whether clocks match. The service station man told deputies the siren test is at midnight, but we do not know whose midnight. We are now receiving confirmation that the entry team has made contact with Lockwood Sheriff Harold Bell, the same Harold Bell listed as missing in 1984. He appears approximately 52 years old, consistent with his age in 1984 records. He is alive, alert, and acting in his official capacity as town sheriff. He is reportedly unhappy that county and state units entered without notifying his office. That sentence is almost absurd, but it is the confirmed report. Sheriff Bell believes he is still the sheriff of Lockwood in October 1984. He has requested that outside units assist with clearing the East Road and confirm whether the county has resolved the visibility problem. He reportedly said, "What plant issue? We had fog and a siren fault. Nobody said spill." That is a major contradiction with the official evacuation history. According to current records, Lockwood was evacuated after a hazardous materials incident at the filtration plant. According to Sheriff Bell, on what he believes is the night before that evacuation, there is no known chemical spill. There is fog, a road closure, communication trouble, and a siren test. The entry team has not yet told him the current year. They are requesting guidance from State Command. This is now a state-level anomalous incident involving possible temporal displacement, historical record contradiction, and living residents believed missing or relocated for decades. Officials will not use those words publicly yet, but that is what the facts imply, temporal displacement. I said it because not saying it is becoming stranger than saying it. We do not know if that is what this is, but the town appears to be anchored to October 13th, 1984. While physically accessible tonight, we are going to continue with careful language. Lockwood has reappeared on the road network. Residents inside appear to believe it is 1984. Officials are investigating. The public must stay away. That is enough for now. We have a new WCVR. We are receiving reports of county vehicles. On Main Street, residents are reminded to remain calm. Sheriff Bell says outside assistance has arrived and the situation at the East Road is under review. Please do not gather downtown until the siren test has concluded. This is live, not a recording. The station knows county vehicles are on Main Street. The town's radio station is functioning as local media inside the event. That changes our coverage too. We are not just reporting on Lockwood. Lockwood is reporting on us, or at least on the responders. Engineering is trying to establish contact with WCVR. We are not transmitting toward them yet. The Communications Authority has advised against open contact until State Command approves. We do not know whether radio interaction could affect the event. The phrase, "the ridge is eating signals again," is being reviewed. Old Lockwood maps show a north ridge above the town where the radio tower, water tower, and emergency siren were located. The East Road passes below it. The 1984 emergency note references ridge visibility. WCVR references low ridge visibility. Sheriff Bell references a visibility problem. The ridge may be central. State police are not sending anyone there yet. Good. Do not go to the obvious ominous ridge at night before understanding the town. That is my professional and personal opinion. A listener writes, "John, is Lockwood dangerous? We do not know. So far, Lockwood residents do not appear hostile. The environment appears safe by initial readings. The danger may be confusion, boundary effects, roads, time discrepancies, communication loss, or whatever happens when the siren sounds. So the answer is not visibly dangerous, but unsafe to enter. Those are different things. A house can look safe and have bad wiring. A road can look open and lead somewhere you cannot return from. A town can have lights on and still be impossible. We are receiving a family identification report. A woman in Fairmont claims she recognized the waitress in Elsie's Diner from a still image briefly transmitted by a responder's body camera. She says the waitress is her mother, who disappeared in Lockwood in 1984 at age 26. The woman making the claim is now 58. Officials are not confirming identifications, but this will happen more and more if images leak. Families are going to see faces, some will be mistaken. Some may not be. The state has asked agencies not to release resident images until a reunification protocol is established. Reunification protocol, that phrase belongs to disasters. It also belongs to airports. Evacuations, missing persons, not to towns returning from 1984. But here we are. The first entry team is withdrawing to the town limit for debrief. They are not leaving the area. They are pulling back to reduce contact while State Command develops a plan. Sheriff Bell objected but did not prevent them. He reportedly said, if you close that road again before midnight, you'll strand us. They believe the East Road matters. The old emergency note says, East Road closed. Do not attempt exit. Tonight, the road is open from our side. Inside, they may think it is closed, or they may know something happens when it closes. We need more. WCVR is now playing music again. Engineering says the song is from 1984, released that year. The station audio includes analog hum, tape hiss, and local signal compression typical of the era. But the carrier itself is being received on modern equipment with unusual stability bursts, close and far. Again, the town is close enough to drive into. Far enough that its radio sounds like memory. We are approaching the end of part one of our coverage, though the incident is very much ongoing. We will continue into the next segment with State Command response, resident contact, family identification concerns, and the growing significance of the midnight siren. For now, let's hold the confirmed facts. Lockwood, officially abandoned after a 1984 incident, has appeared again on road signs, maps, weather systems, and physical access routes. State and county responders have entered the town. They report intact streets, functioning lights, occupied businesses, and living residents. The residents believe the date is October 13th, 1984. WCVR, Lockwood's defunct radio station, is broadcasting live local updates. Sheriff Harold Bell, listed as missing in 1984 records, has been contacted alive. The town references an East Road closure, ridge visibility, and a midnight siren test. The public is ordered to stay away from Route 18 spur. There is no general evacuation order for surrounding communities, no confirmed threat outside the restricted area. But the situation remains unresolved. And I want to leave this first segment with the thing that makes tonight feel different from a normal emergency. Most crises move forward, a storm approaches, a fire spreads, a road closes, a search expands. Tonight, something moved backward. A name returned to a sign, a road returned to a map, a radio station returned to the air, a sheriff returned to duty. A town returned to the year it never finished. And now, west of Fairmont, beyond a road that was supposed to dead end, there are porch lights burning in Lockwood. People inside are listening to their local station. They're being told to stay indoors until the siren test. They're waiting for midnight. They believe the county has come to help. They do not know, at least not yet, that the county is nearly 40 years late. Welcome back. I'm John Vale, and you're listening to Fictional Radio. We are continuing our live coverage of the Lockwood incident west of Fairmont, where state and county officials are investigating the apparent reappearance of a town that was officially abandoned in 1984. And I want to start this next segment by saying something plainly. This is no longer a story about a road sign. It started that way. A green sign on the side of the old Route 18 spur, Lockwood, 7 miles. That sign could have been a prank. The missing county gate could have been a maintenance error. The mapping update could have been a data problem. The radio signal could have been some hobbyist playing old tapes into the air. But now we have state police, county deputies, emergency management, environmental teams, archive officials, communications engineers, and the Weather Bureau all confirming pieces of the same impossible picture. There is a town where the records say there should not be a functioning town. There are people inside. Those people believe the date is October 13th, 1984. And as of the last update, they are preparing for what they call a midnight siren test. So we're going to slow down and keep this grounded. No monsters, no disappearances confirmed tonight, no confirmed contamination, no evacuation order for surrounding communities. The restricted area remains the Route 18 spur and the former Lockwood Township access road. If you are not already there as part of the official response, do not go there. State police have now set a hard perimeter. You will be turned away, and if you try to bypass that perimeter through timber roads or private land, you may be arrested. That is not theater. That is safety. The road exists tonight in a way it did not exist yesterday, We do not know if it will remain stable. We do not know if vehicles can reliably leave once they pass the town line. We do not know what happens at midnight. We do not know how contact with residents may affect them or the situation. So again, do not go. Do not try to see Lockwood. Do not try to find relatives yourself. Do not follow mapping apps. Do not trust a route just because your phone says it is open. A map is not permission. We are now receiving a more detailed timeline from State Emergency Management. At approximately 8:43 p.m., a county road crew reported the Lockwood directional sign. At 8:58 p.m., they reported the maintenance gate missing and road surface restored. At 9:17 p.m., at least 3 consumer navigation platforms and 2 county systems began displaying a live route into Lockwood. At 9:31 p.m., a county deputy reported visible streetlights beyond the former township boundary. At 9:44 p.m., WCVR Lockwood was detected broadcasting on an inactive AM frequency. At 10:08 p.m., the first responder entry team reached the Lockwood town limit. At 10:21 p.m., contact was made with a resident outside a service station. At 10:34 p.m., responders confirmed contact with Sheriff Harold Bell, who has been listed in state records as missing since the 1984 Lockwood evacuation. That is the official timeline as it stands. Every one of those points will be reviewed. Some may be corrected, some may be reclassified. But that is what agencies are working from now. The state has now established what it is calling a temporary contact protocol for Lockwood residents. Responders are not to tell residents immediately that the current year is not 1984 unless instructed by command. Responders are not to remove residents from town without medical necessity. Responders are not to bring family members to the perimeter for direct contact. Responders are not to enter private homes unless invited or required for emergency aid. Responders are to avoid using smartphones, modern tablets, or unfamiliar technology openly in front of residents unless necessary. That last instruction may sound strange, but it makes sense. If you believe it is 1984, a modern phone is not just a phone. It is proof that something is wrong with the world. A body camera, a tactical tablet, a digital radio display, these things could frighten people who think they are still living inside a late 20th century town. The goal right now is calm, contact without shock, information without panic. Because we do not know what happens if Lockwood panics, we are now hearing that State Command has divided the incident into 3 working questions. 1, is Lockwood physically stable? 2, are the residents safe? 3, what happens at midnight? That third question is becoming central. Almost every piece of information from inside the town points toward midnight. WCVR has mentioned the siren multiple times. Residents have been told to remain indoors until the siren test concludes. Sheriff Bell believes the East Road problem must be resolved before midnight. Old emergency records mention a siren active on October 13, 1984. And now we have a new WCVR transcript. Engineering captured it about 5 minutes ago. The announcer said, "This is WCVR Lockwood. We are still waiting on a county update regarding the East Road closure. Sheriff Bell asks residents to remain inside and keep porch lights on until the siren sounds. If your household has not completed the roll check, please contact the station or the sheriff's office by phone. Again, do not approach the ridgeline. Visibility remains unsafe."
Roll check, that is new.
Household roll check. A town does not usually conduct a household roll check during a routine siren test. That sounds more like emergency accounting. Who is home? Who is missing? Who is safely indoors? The State Archive Office is searching for references to a Lockwood roll check in 1984 records. We do not yet have confirmation. But the phrase, "keep porch lights on," has caught attention. Responders at the town limit report nearly every house visible from Main Street has a porch light on, even unoccupied-looking houses. It gives the whole town, they say, a strange uniform glow. One environmental officer described it as too orderly. That is not official language, but it is in the field notes. Too orderly. We are receiving more information about Lockwood's layout. The town appears consistent with late 1970s and early 1980s maps, but not identical. Main Street is present. Elsie's Diner is present. The service station is present. The courthouse annex is present. Lockwood High appears on the hill road to the north. The WCVR building appears to be where historical records placed it, a 2-story brick structure beside the old post office. But some buildings that records say burned or collapsed before 1984 are standing, and one building that records say existed in 1984 is missing. The filtration plant, let me repeat that, The filtration plant, which official history says caused the hazardous materials incident that led to Lockwood's evacuation, is not visible where maps say it should be, at least not from the current entry team route. The state has not confirmed whether the plant is missing, relocated, obscured, or simply not yet visible. But Sheriff Bell reportedly denied knowledge of a plant spill earlier tonight. He called the problem fog, not contamination. That contradiction is becoming one of the most important pieces of the mystery. If Lockwood was officially evacuated because of a filtration plant disaster, but the town in 1984 is not responding to any plant disaster, then either the records are wrong, the residents are wrong, or the event that removed Lockwood from the world was later renamed. That happens in history sometimes. The first explanation is not always the final one, especially when officials do not know what to write down. We have just received confirmation from the archive office regarding the Lockwood ledger. There was an October 13, 1984 edition. The archive has a partial scan from a private collection. The front page headline reads, "Ridge Fog Closes East Road Again." Subheadline, "Sheriff Asks Residents to Remain Indoors During Midnight Siren Test." That is not contamination. That is not a chemical spill. That is fog. The same phrases WCVR is using tonight. The article reportedly mentions that Lockwood had experienced several nights of unusual low visibility along the North Ridge, with drivers reporting that the East Road looped or returned them to Main Street. County officials at the time attributed it to poor visibility, washed out road markers, and driver confusion. Looped. The road looped. That word matters because we are now receiving field reports from the current perimeter that one state police vehicle attempting to reposition along an alternate service route returned to the same checkpoint after following what should have been a 2-mile access road through the timber boundary. The driver did not intend to turn around. GPS failed. The vehicle emerged behind the original checkpoint. No one was injured. Officials are now suspending alternate route movement. Roads near Lockwood may not behave reliably. Again, do not go there. This is not just about a town. It is about access, how you get in, how you get out, whether a road is a road in the usual sense. We are now hearing that the first entry team has re-entered Lockwood with a smaller contact group. They are meeting Sheriff Bell at the sheriff's office on Main Street. State Command has authorized a limited truth disclosure, not full disclosure. Limited, they will tell Sheriff Bell that the town is part of an emergency situation involving time and record discrepancies, that outside agencies have reason to believe Lockwood has been unreachable for a long period, and that residents should remain calm and cooperate with safety instructions. They will not say 40 years immediately unless necessary. I do not envy the person having that conversation. Imagine walking into a sheriff's office and telling a man that the county he called for help is not late by minutes, but by decades. Imagine telling him without sounding insane. Imagine being him, hearing it. We are waiting for the result. The announcer has not identified himself by full name, but old station logs list a WCVR evening host named Martin Gell. He was 32 in 1984, also listed as missing after the evacuation. The voice, according to one family member who contacted the newsroom, sounds like him. We cannot confirm. The station just aired this message. Sheriff Bell is meeting with county officials downtown. Residents are asked not to gather near the office. Please complete household roll calls by 11:30. The siren will sound at midnight. If you hear a second siren from the ridge, do not answer it. I need to read that again. If you hear a second siren from the ridge, do not answer it. That is new. A second siren. Do not answer it. Answer a siren? What does that mean? We are asking the archive office whether Lockwood had more than one siren. Old civil defense maps show a primary town siren mounted above the firehouse and a secondary industrial siren near the North Ridge Tower. If true, there may have been two sirens, but the phrase, "do not answer it," suggests the second siren is not a test. It may have been part of local warning culture, or superstition, or an emergency code, or something else. The entry team is now inside the sheriff's office. Radio contact is degraded but functional. State Command reports Sheriff Bell initially reacted with anger, then disbelief, then requested proof. Responders showed him a current state police badge design, a digital timestamp, and printed records listing him as missing since 1984. He reportedly asked to speak with the county commissioner. The commissioner he named died in 1999. They have not told him that yet. Sheriff Bell has asked whether his wife is safe. Current records say his wife and son were out of town during the 1984 incident and survived. His wife died in 2011. His son is alive, age 62, and has been contacted by state authorities. The state is not allowing direct contact yet. Again, wise. Cruel, but wise. Time-displaced family contact, if that is what this is not something you improvise in a police office under a siren countdown. The sheriff reportedly said, "How long?" The state liaison asked what he meant. He said, "How long have we been out?" That phrasing is interesting. Not gone. Out. As if the town lost contact, as if Lockwood experienced the outside world as absent. The liaison said, "We are still determining that." Sheriff Bell said, "Don't lie to me in my own office." The liaison told him, "Nearly 40 years." There was a long silence. Then Sheriff Bell reportedly said, "That's why the cars look wrong." That is the first indication that some residents are beginning to understand the scale. We are now receiving reports of crowds forming inside Lockwood near the sheriff's office. Despite WCVR instructions, residents have seen modern police vehicles. Word is spreading. People are asking questions. Some believe the county vehicles are from the federal government. Some think it is part of the siren test. Some think the fog has caused hallucinations. Some think the outside world has changed, which, from their perspective, it has. State Command has asked WCVR to broadcast a calming statement, but that means contacting WCVR directly. They are now attempting that. The Communications Authority is patching a call through an analog line from the Sheriff's Office to WCVR. Yes, a physical town line appears to function inside Lockwood. It does not connect normally to the outside network, but it connects within the town. The station has answered. WCVR's announcer identified himself as Martin Gell. He is, according to state records, a missing person. He has been told only that outside authorities are asking for calm due to road and communication disruptions. He has agreed to broadcast a sheriff's message. The new WCVR statement is airing now. Lockwood, this is WCVR. Sheriff Bell is asking everyone to remain calm and stay indoors unless contacted by town officials. County assistance has arrived. The East Road remains under review. Please do not gather downtown. Please complete household roll checks. The midnight siren test remains scheduled. Again, remain indoors and keep porch lights on. It is calm, almost too calm. That is the sound of a local station doing its job at the edge of the impossible. A man in 1984 or something like it, using a radio station that has been dead for decades to keep a returned town from panicking. We are receiving family inquiries by the hundreds now, people with Lockwood relatives, people with grandparents, parents, siblings, classmates, a former teacher, a nurse, a football coach, a girl who would have been 12 and is maybe still 12. State authorities have opened the Lockwood Family Registry line. Do not go to the perimeter. Do not send unverified photos. Do not call the sheriff's office in Lockwood. You cannot reach it directly, and flooding state lines will slow identification. Submit names through the registry officials will cross-reference. I know that sounds bureaucratic, but bureaucracy is the only way to keep grief from rushing the road. A listener named Elaine, who earlier wrote about her father's missing family, has sent another message. She says her father believes his sister's name may be on the Lockwood High roll call if school records are still active. Her name was Marion Voss, age 12 in 1984. We are not going to ask officials to check live on air. That would be irresponsible. But this is what the incident is becoming, not just a town, a list of names returning to possibility. Possibility can be almost as painful as loss. We have an update from the Weather Bureau. The Lockwood Weather Station continues to transmit. The date field remains October 13th, 1984. The time field is now inconsistent. It appears to be counting toward midnight at a slightly different rate than external time. At the last packet, Lockwood Station time was 11:12 p.m. External time is 10:58 p.m. That means Lockwood time may be running ahead. If the siren is scheduled for Lockwood midnight, it may occur before midnight here. We are now less than an hour from Lockwood midnight if the station time is accurate. State Command is adjusting. This is important for everyone listening. When we say midnight from now on, we may mean Lockwood midnight, not ours. The town's clocks may not match the outside. A responder inside the sheriff's office reports that the wall clock reads 11:17 p.m. Their own digital watch reads 11:02. The difference is growing, not dramatically, but enough. The incident now involves time drift. I know how that sounds, but that is the term being used in the field log. Time drift. Officials are not saying time travel publicly, but they are now documenting clock divergence between Lockwood and outside instruments. That may be electromagnetic interference, it may be device malfunction, it may be psychological misreporting. but wall clocks, digital watches, vehicle clocks, weather station timestamps, and WCVR schedule cues are all pointing toward a Lockwood time slightly ahead of external time. We are now entering a critical window. State Command is considering whether to remove the entry team before Lockwood midnight. Sheriff Bell believes closing or abandoning the road before midnight could strand the town. The emergency note from 1984 says, "Do not attempt exit." Residents have been instructed to stay indoors and keep porch lights on. WCVR warns not to answer a second siren from the ridge. No one knows what happens when the siren sounds. The safest choice may be to remove outside personnel. The humane choice may be to stay and help. Those are not always the same. We have just received a major development. A Lockwood resident has crossed the town boundary. A woman approximately 30 years old approached the roadblock inside the town and asked to see the new county cars. Responders attempted to keep her within the boundary while speaking calmly. She stepped past the welcome sign and onto the external side of the road. She immediately became disoriented and collapsed. Medical team moved in. She is alive. But paramedics report sudden physiological changes. I'm going to be careful here. The woman appeared at first to be in her early 30s. Within minutes of crossing the boundary, she appeared significantly older. Not elderly, but older. Possibly by decades. Medical teams are evaluating. Officials are not releasing identity. This is the first evidence that leaving Lockwood may affect residents physically. State Command has ordered that no Lockwood resident be allowed to cross the boundary until medical and scientific teams understand the risk. That is devastating if residents inside have not experienced 40 years. But the outside world has. Crossing the boundary may force biological time to catch up. We do not know if that is what happened, but that is the fear. And if true, the residents of Lockwood may not be able to leave safely. Think about that. A town returns. People are alive. Families are waiting outside, and the road between them may be lethal. A reunion becomes a medical hazard. A boundary becomes a sentence. WCVR has not reported the collapse yet. Officials are likely preventing that information from spreading inside until they know more. If residents learn that crossing out may age them or harm them, panic could be severe. If they do not learn, someone else may try. Sheriff Bell has been informed. He reportedly said, then nobody crosses until after the siren. He still believes the siren matters. Perhaps he is right. We have an updated WCVR announcement. Residents are reminded to remain inside. Do not approach the town line. Do not approach the East Road. Sheriff Bell has ordered all residents to stay in place until the siren test concludes. Porch lights on, curtains open, household roles complete, curtains open, that is new. Why curtains open? Porch lights on, curtains open. That sounds like visibility confirmation from outside, perhaps a way to show occupied houses. Or something else. We are now seeing field reports that nearly every house in Lockwood has front curtains open and porch lights on. Responders can see people inside some homes, families standing in living rooms, looking out, not coming outside. The town is obeying. Afraid, but obeying. We are receiving partial medical update on the woman who crossed the boundary. She is stable but confused. She believes it is 1984. She asked for her husband and 2 children. Records indicate a woman with her name, if confirmed, would be 71 today. Her apparent age after collapse is estimated to be early 70s. That suggests time catch-up may have occurred, again, preliminary, but the medical team is treating it as real. She did not die. That matters. But she aged to the present. If residents leave, they may not be killed, but they may lose 40 years in minutes or seconds. For some, that may be survivable. For others, children, elderly, sick residents, we do not know. And emotionally, what does it mean to step out of town and have your body remember decades your mind never lived? Officials are now absolutely restricting resident exit. Some family members outside are already demanding that their relatives be brought out. Others, upon hearing the medical report, are begging authorities not to let them cross. There is no humane universal answer. Some people would choose to leave even if it aged them. Some would choose to stay, but can they consent if they do not yet understand the world outside? And can anyone explain it before the siren? These are not normal emergency questions. This is now a legal, medical, ethical, and temporal crisis. The state governor has issued a statement. At this time, state authorities are responding to an anomalous incident involving the former township of Lockwood. The public is instructed to remain away from the restricted area. Residents with historical family connections to Lockwood should register through official channels and should not attempt direct contact. The situation remains under active assessment. There is no known threat to communities outside the perimeter. The governor did not say the town reappeared, but he did say former township of Lockwood, anomalous incident, historical family connections. That is enough for now. Federal agencies have been notified. The Weather Bureau continues monitoring. The Communications Authority continues monitoring WCVR. Environmental readings remain normal, radiation normal, air normal. The danger is not in the air, it is in the rules. We have 27 minutes until Lockwood midnight according to the town clock. The entry team is still inside but near the town limit now. State Command is debating withdrawal. Sheriff Bell is asking at least one outside liaison to remain through the siren. He believes the county's presence may stabilize residents. He also says, quote, if the ridge starts calling, they need to hear a voice that isn't ours. That is unsettling if the ridge starts calling. WCVR said not to answer the second siren from the ridge. Sheriff Bell says, if the ridge starts calling, what happened in 1984? This is the central mystery now. Not why the town returned, what took it or sealed it or held it, what happened on that night. The Archive Office has found another document, a handwritten note attached to the emergency operations file. It is not officially signed. It may have been written by a dispatcher. The note says, second siren at 11:58, not ours. Bell says, keep lights on. East Road people came back from Maine again. Phones repeating voices. Phones repeating voices. That is from 1984. Second siren, not ours. Keep lights on. East Road people came back from Maine again. The road loop was already happening then. Phones repeating voices. This suggests Lockwood experienced a communications and road anomaly before the official evacuation record. Maybe the chemical spill story was never the cause. Maybe it was the cover. Maybe it was the only explanation officials could write after the town was gone. We are now hearing reports from inside Lockwood that landline phones are ringing in several homes despite the town being under stay-inside order. Residents have been told not to answer unless it is the sheriff's office or WCVR. That is difficult to enforce. The old note said phones repeating voices. WCVR has now broadcast, if your telephone rings and no one speaks, hang up. Do not listen to an open line. Do not repeat what you hear. Call the sheriff's office only if a family member is missing from the household. Do not repeat what you hear. This is getting stranger by the minute. The Lockwood event is not just physical. It involves roads, radio, phones, siren, fog, time records. The town's system seemed to be caught in a pattern from 1984, replaying or resuming. Maybe Lockwood did not simply return. Maybe the unfinished emergency returned with it. The fog is now visible. Field teams at the town line report a low white fog forming along the north ridge and moving toward the town. Weather Bureau radar does not show normal fog formation at that density. Humidity outside town does not support it. Inside Lockwood, residents have been warned about ridge visibility for hours. Now we see it. The ridge fog is coming back. State Command has ordered all non-essential personnel out of the town boundary. One liaison, one communications technician, and 2 deputies will remain with Sheriff Bell at the town office until further order. Environmental teams are repositioning. Medical teams are holding outside. The woman who crossed the boundary remains stable. She has reportedly been shown a current newspaper. She became distressed and is now sedated lightly under medical supervision. Her identity has been tentatively confirmed as Ruth Mallory, listed as missing in 1984 at age 32. Ruth Mallory is 71 by current date. Her body now appears consistent with that. Her mind, according to doctors, does not. She asked whether the siren has sounded yet. That was the first question she asked after waking. The siren matters. We are 15 minutes from Lockwood midnight. Porch lights remain on. Curtains open. WCVR is broadcasting continuous calm instructions with music underneath. Transcript: stay in your homes, keep lights visible. Keep children away from windows. Do not answer a second siren. Do not enter the road. Sheriff Bell is with county officials. We will remain on the air. Keep children away from windows? That is new. Why? Maybe panic. Maybe the fog. Maybe something appears outside. We do not know. A responder inside the sheriff's office reports that town residents are calling WCVR and the sheriff's office to confirm household roll. The station is reading initials only, not full names. Families are checking in from streets: Pine, Maple, Church, Carter Mill. The rhythm is almost like storm coverage. Old local radio doing what it was built to do: hold the town together through weather. Except this weather may have stolen it for 40 years. The fog has reached the edge of Main Street. Visibility is dropping. Streetlights are glowing through it. Modern vehicle headlights outside the town boundary appear dimmer when pointed toward Lockwood. Thermal cameras show inconsistent depth. Drones are grounded due to signal loss. The East Road inside town is no longer visible from the checkpoint. The welcome sign remains visible. Welcome to Lockwood, a good place to come home to. That line feels different now. We are 10 minutes from Lockwood midnight. Sheriff Bell has asked WCVR to prepare to broadcast the town siren tone if the physical siren fails. Communications officials outside are advising against that. They do not know whether rebroadcasting the tone could trigger or amplify the anomaly. Bell reportedly responded, "If our siren doesn't sound, the other one will." Again, the other one. There may be a distinction between the town siren and the ridge siren. One tells people to stay. One calls them out. That is the emerging theory. In 1984, perhaps a second siren sounded from the ridge. People answered, roads looped, phones repeated voices, visibility collapsed, the town was lost. Tonight, they're trying not to answer. Porch lights on, curtains open, household roles complete, stay indoors. Do not approach the ridge. Do not answer the second siren. This is not a test in the ordinary sense. It may be a ritual of survival or an emergency protocol developed in the hours before the town disappeared. We are 7 minutes from Lockwood midnight. WCVR has stopped playing music, only the announcer now. He says, "Lockwood, this is Martin at WCVR. We are here. The sheriff is here. County assistance is here. Keep your lights on. Do not open your doors for anyone you cannot see clearly. Do not follow voices outside. If you hear the ridge, stay with this station. We will count the town siren together. Do not follow voices outside." The old phone note. The ridge calling. The second siren, the pattern is clearer and worse. Whatever happened in 1984 may have used familiar signals. Phones, voices, sirens, roads. It may have lured people toward the ridge or the East Road, and the town's defense was community verification, lights, roll calls, radio, sheriff, everyone staying in place. If so, the official contamination story did not just hide the truth, it erased the town's instructions. We are 5 minutes out. State Command is debating whether to broadcast a warning from outside into Lockwood. The communications technician inside advises against it. WCVR is functioning. Sheriff Bell has control. Additional outside voices may confuse residents. I agree with that. Let Lockwood hear Lockwood. For once tonight, the old station may be the safest voice. We are 4 minutes out. Fog now covers much of Main Street. The welcome sign flickers. External cameras are struggling. The wall clock inside the sheriff's office reads 11:57. External time is 11:31. Time drift has increased. WCVR begins counting households again. Pine Avenue complete, Maple Street complete, Church Street missing one household, Mill Street complete. Sheriff Bell dispatches a deputy to Carter Lane. State Command objects. Bell says Carter Lane has children. The deputy goes, "This is the problem with local authority. Sometimes the person closest to the danger knows the rule better than the State Command. Sometimes they are walking into the old mistake. We do not know which. 2 minutes. WCVR says, town siren in 2 minutes. Stay with us. Lights on, curtains open, children away from windows. Do not answer the ridge." The fog is now at the sheriff's office windows. The outside liaison reports hearing a low mechanical hum from above the town. That may be the town siren warming or something else. The deputy sent to Carter Lane reports seeing people standing in the fog. He says they are not moving. Sheriff Bell asks if he can identify them. The deputy says no. WCVR says 1 minute. Then through the responder radio we hear a sound, a siren, low, rising, long. The town siren has begun. WCVR counts with it. Stay inside. That is ours. That is ours. That is ours. The siren continues. Porch lights visible through fog. Curtains open. People inside. The entry team reports the town seems to dim between siren pulses. Not lights flickering. The town itself somehow less there. That may be camera artifact. The siren continues then beneath it. Another sound. Higher. Farther away. From the ridge. The second siren. WCVR immediately says, "Do not answer. Do not answer. Do not answer." Sheriff Bell repeats over town line. "Lockwood, stay in your homes." The second siren sounds again. It is not synchronized with the first. It sounds almost like a reply. The fog thickens. The deputy on Carter Lane reports hearing his mother calling from the road. His mother has been dead for 10 years, according to personnel records. Sheriff Bell orders him not to respond. The deputy says the voice is coming from the ridge. Then his radio cuts. The town siren continues. WCVR keeps repeating, "That is ours. Stay with ours. Do not answer the ridge." This may be what happened in 1984. Two signals, one to hold the town, one to draw it out, one from Lockwood, one from somewhere else. We're in the middle of it now. The welcome sign is no longer visible from the external checkpoint. The road into town is fogged over completely. State Command has ordered no one else in. Medical teams standing by. External radios are picking up voices under the siren, not clear. Fragments, names. Some responders report hearing their own names. Communications Authority orders all non-essential audio monitors muted. Do not listen to open lines. Do not repeat what you hear. The old note was right. The phones repeated voices. Tonight, the radios are doing it too. WCVR is still audible, barely. Martingale's voice is strained but steady. Lockwood, stay with me, count with me. Town siren is ours. Ridge siren is not. Lights on, stay inside, stay inside. The town siren begins to fade. The ridge siren rises, that seems bad. Sheriff Bell orders the firehouse crew to restart the town siren manually. We did not know there was still a firehouse crew. Apparently there is, or was. The firehouse siren catches again, louder for a moment. The two sirens overlap. Field equipment outside Lockwood fails. Video cuts. Radio degrades. WCVR remains. Then WCVR says, roll call, Pine Avenue. A pause. Complete. Maple Street. A pause. Complete. Mill Street, complete. Carter Lane, long pause. The sirens continue, then Carter Lane complete. The sheriff's office erupts in background sound. The missing household is accounted for. The deputy radio returns. He is breathing hard. He says he found them inside. He did not go to the road. He did not answer the voice. He is returning. The town siren strengthens. The ridge siren weakens. The fog begins thinning near Main Street. External cameras regain partial image. The welcome sign reappears. The road is still there. Lockwood is still there. The siren test, if that is what we can call it, is ending. WCVR says, Lockwood, remain indoors until the all clear. The town is holding. The town is holding. That phrase came from 1984 maybe, or from tonight. Maybe both. State Command reports the town remains physically present. No new residents have crossed the boundary. No outside personnel missing, though. One deputy remains under medical evaluation after hearing voices during the Carter Lane check. The fog is retreating toward the ridge. The second siren has stopped. The town siren has stopped. WCVR is still broadcasting. Martingale says, Lockwood, you did well. Stay in your homes. Sheriff Bell will issue the all clear when the county confirms the road. There is no cheering in the transmission, just exhaustion. The same exhaustion you hear after a tornado warning passes, or a flood crest drops, or a search ends with someone found alive. But this is not over, because Lockwood did not vanish, not tonight. The town remains. And now everyone knows something was trying perhaps to take it again, or call it back, or finish what began in 1984. We are receiving official confirmation. Lockwood remains visible from the perimeter after the siren event. The road remains open but restricted. State and federal teams are moving to Phase 2. No civilian access except medical emergency. No family reunification yet. WCVR remains active. Sheriff Bell remains in contact. Lockwood time is still offset, but the drift has slowed. That is where we are, and I want to take a breath here because this has become one of the strangest broadcasts we have ever carried. A town believed abandoned for nearly 40 years has returned. Its residents are alive, its clocks are wrong, its roads loop, its radio station broadcasts from 1984. Its people may age if they cross the boundary, and at midnight, two sirens sounded, one from the town, one from the ridge, and the town held itself together by leaving its lights on and refusing to answer the wrong one. That is not a conclusion. That is a deeper mystery. We will continue into the final part of tonight's coverage with the aftermath of the siren, the first controlled interviews with Lockwood residents, the question of whether the town can remain safely connected to the present, and the troubling new reports coming in from county survey teams beyond the ridge. For now, Lockwood is still there, porch lights on, curtains open, radio station live, a sheriff from 1984 standing beside state police from tonight. And somewhere north of town, beyond the thinning fog, a second siren has gone quiet. Not gone, quiet. Welcome back again. I'm John Vale. We're continuing our live coverage of the Lockwood incident west of Fairmont, where the former township of Lockwood, officially abandoned after an incident in 1984, has reappeared as an intact, populated town. A few minutes ago, according to Lockwood's own internal clocks, the town reached midnight. At that moment, the town's emergency siren sounded. A second siren, described by residents and responders as coming from the North Ridge, sounded beneath it. WCVR, Lockwood's local radio station, repeatedly instructed residents to stay indoors, keep porch lights on, keep curtains open, and not answer the Ridge siren. The fog surrounding the town thickened during the siren event. Radios picked up voices. At least one responder reported hearing a deceased family member calling from the road. A deputy sent to check a household on Carter Lane briefly lost radio contact but returned safely. And then, after several minutes, the Ridge siren faded. The town siren held. The fog retreated. Lockwood remained. That is the most important fact right now. Lockwood is still there. The town did not disappear again. No confirmed residents are missing from the household roll, according to WCVR and Sheriff Harold Bell. No state or county personnel are missing. One Lockwood resident who crossed the boundary earlier remains under medical care after experiencing what doctors are calling rapid age reconciliation. That is preliminary language. It means her apparent physical age changed to match the current date outside Lockwood. She is alive. She is stable. But the implication is profound. Residents inside Lockwood may not be able to safely leave the town without experiencing the decades that passed outside, or perhaps more accurately, without the outside world forcing those decades onto them. We do not know whether that effect is universal. We do not know whether it affects children, elderly residents, animals, objects, or only certain people under certain conditions. We do not know if it can be slowed, prevented, or reversed. So, for now, officials are treating the town boundary as a medical and temporal hazard. No residents out, no civilians in. No family reunifications across the line. That last one is already causing pain. There are people at the outer perimeter tonight who have waited almost 40 years for answers. Some thought their relatives died. Some thought they abandoned them. Some thought records were wrong. Some built entire lives around an absence that now has porch lights. They can see from far away the road that may lead to someone they lost. And they are being told not to go. That is necessary. It is also cruel. Emergencies often are. We have an update now from State Command. Following the siren event, state and federal authorities are establishing what they are calling a two-zone perimeter. The outer zone blocks public access to the Route 18 spur and surrounding timber roads. The inner zone marks the active Lockwood boundary, beginning near the welcome sign and extending along the visible town limits. No one crosses the inner boundary without authorization. Responders already inside are being rotated out only if necessary, and anyone who exits is being medically evaluated. So far, outside personnel who entered Lockwood and returned have not experienced the same rapid aging effect seen in the Lockwood resident who crossed out. That suggests the effect may be tied to belonging to the town, duration within the anomaly, or some other factor we do not yet understand. Outside personnel can enter and leave. At least so far, Lockwood residents may not be able to. That difference is one of the most unsettling details of the night because it means the road may be open for us, but not for them. WCVR remains on air. The station has shifted to what sounds like post-emergency local coverage. Martin Gell, the announcer, is reading household roll confirmations, road status updates, and messages from Sheriff Bell. I want to read the latest transcript. Lockwood, the town siren has concluded. The Ridge siren is no longer active. Sheriff Bell asks residents to remain indoors until morning inspection. If you hear a telephone line open with no caller, hang up immediately. If you see headlights on the East Road, do not signal them. If a person knocks and will not identify themselves clearly, do not open the door. County assistance remains in town. WCVR will stay live through the night. There is so much in that statement. Telephone lines, headlights on the East Road, unidentified knocking. These are not new details to the residents. Apparently, Martin Gell read them calmly like a storm safety checklist. Like residents have heard these rules before. That suggests Lockwood did not experience the siren phenomenon for the first time tonight. Maybe the town had prior warnings in 1984. Maybe there were earlier fog nights. Maybe the town developed rules before the night had vanished. And if those rules work tonight, Why did they not work in 1984? That is now the question. Did someone answer the second siren? Did someone open a door? Did someone drive toward headlights on the East Road? Did the town fail its roll call, or did the outside world close the road too soon? Sheriff Bell's earlier warning matters here. If you close that road again before midnight, you'll strand us. Maybe in 1984, county officials closed the road from the outside during the siren event. Maybe the town was cut off mid-cycle. Maybe the official evacuation never happened because there was no town left to evacuate. That is speculation, but it fits more of the emerging evidence than the old contamination story does. The old story said chemical incident. The new evidence says fog, roads, sirens, signals, voices, and a town trying to keep itself counted. We have a report from the State Archive Office. They have located a box of unprocessed Lockwood emergency records donated by a retired county clerk in 2002. The box was never fully digitized because most contents were damaged by water. Staff are now reviewing what can be read. One note dated October 14, 1984, the morning after the official incident reads, road present at 3:40, road absent at 4:15, no access beyond gate. Bell not reachable. WCVR carrier silent. County recommends contamination language until site assessment possible. I'll read that again. Road present at 3:40, road absent at 4:15, no access beyond gate. Bell not reachable. WCVR carrier silent. County recommends contamination language until site assessment possible. If authentic, that is extraordinary. It suggests county officials knew the road itself had changed. It suggests they could not reach Sheriff Bell. It suggests WCVR went silent. And it suggests the contamination explanation may have been a placeholder, a cover, perhaps, or a bureaucratic attempt to describe the indescribable. County recommends contamination language until site assessment possible. But if the road disappeared, there was no site assessment. The placeholder became history. 40 years later, people say Lockwood was evacuated after contamination. But perhaps no one evacuated it. Perhaps the town was simply unreachable, and the paperwork hardened around the absence. We are waiting for authentication of that note, but it is consistent with what we are seeing tonight. The state governor has now requested federal scientific support. The agencies involved include emergency management, transportation, communications, public health, environmental safety, geological survey, and historical records. That list alone tells you how strange this is. Roads, radio, medicine, time, maps, families, history. No single agency owns a town returning from the past. A listener writes, Joan, what happens if Lockwood stays? That is the question beginning now. The crisis phase may be ending, at least for tonight. The siren passed. The town remains. Residents are accounted for. Officials have a perimeter. But if Lockwood remains at dawn, then the world has to decide what it is. A town, a disaster zone, a quarantine area, a historical site, a temporal anomaly, a community of living citizens with legal rights. Are they residents of the state? Are they missing persons? Are they still legally alive if death certificates were issued? What year are their taxes from? Do they own their homes? Can they vote? Can they leave? Can they be forced to stay? Can families visit through glass, across a boundary over radio? If a child from Lockwood is 12, but the outside world says she should be 51, what is her age? If a married person inside has a spouse outside who remarried decades ago, what happens? If a resident leaves and ages 40 years in minutes, is that consent, harm, or natural correction? These are not abstract questions. They may belong to people standing under porch lights right now. The old town has returned, but it has returned into paperwork that declared it gone. Modern life is not prepared for that. WCVR is now broadcasting messages from residents to county officials. They are being screened by Sheriff Bell, according to the station. Most are practical. Carter Lane needs insulin. Pine Avenue requests confirmation of school closure tomorrow. Mill Street reports telephone ringing with no caller. The diner has food available for emergency workers. The church basement is open if needed. That last one is painfully ordinary. A church basement, a diner, insulin, a school closure. A town from 1984 trying to handle the impossible with the tools of a small town. We have confirmation that Lockwood High School is occupied by students and staff who were present for an evening event, possibly a homecoming committee meeting and sports preparation. The school is under lockdown by instruction of Sheriff Bell. Teachers have kept students indoors. Modern responders have not entered the school yet. This is where family identification becomes urgent. If children inside are still children, some have parents outside who are elderly or dead, some have siblings outside who are now grandparents, some may have no living relatives left. And some relatives outside may discover the person they mourned is young enough to be their child. The state family registry line is overwhelmed. Officials are expanding capacity. Please use official forms if you have Lockwood family connections. Do not call emergency lines. Do not go to the perimeter. I know I keep saying it. I will keep saying it. The perimeter is not a memorial site. It is an active incident zone. We have a new report from the medical team treating Ruth Mallory, the Lockwood resident, who crossed the boundary. She is now awake and speaking more clearly. She remembers leaving her house after the siren because she wanted to see the county cars. She says she did not feel anything when she crossed the sign, only sudden cold and dizziness. When shown a mirror after medical stabilization, she became extremely distressed. Doctors are limiting further questioning. She has been told that time has passed outside Lockwood. She does not fully accept it yet. She asks whether her children are safe. Her children are alive, according to current records. They are in their late 40s. Officials have contacted them. They are being brought to a family coordination center, not the perimeter. Think about that reunion. A mother who, to herself, put her children to bed a few hours ago, waking to learn they are older than she is in memory. Her body may have caught up. Her mind has not. The cruelty of time is usually gradual. Tonight, for Ruth Mallory, it was immediate. We have an update from inside Lockwood. Sheriff Bell has requested printed current newspapers, a basic current map, and a list of confirmed living relatives for residents who may need to be informed. The State Command is preparing a controlled information package. He does not want smartphones shown around town. He does not want television crews. He does not want families at the line. He reportedly said, "My people have had a bad night. Don't make them live 40 years before breakfast." That may be the clearest moral statement of the evening. Do not make them live 40 years before breakfast. The state has agreed to slow disclosure. There will be no mass announcement inside Lockwood tonight beyond what residents already understand. Something is wrong with time and the outside world. County and state help has arrived. No one is to leave town, and further explanation will come in the morning. Morning, that word matters. If Lockwood reaches morning, if the road remains, if time drift stabilizes, if the ridge stays quiet. So many ifs. We are now receiving reports from survey teams along the outer perimeter. The town boundary does not align exactly with old municipal limits. It appears to follow an irregular shape around the built town, ending just beyond the last visible houses and including the North Ridge base, but not the full ridge. The actual ridge line is obscured by fog and not currently accessible. The east road inside the town remains visible from Main Street, but loops back according to both old records and current resident accounts. No one is being allowed to drive it. External teams sent to locate the east road from the outside cannot find a corresponding road where maps show it should emerge. That means the east road may exist only from Lockwood's side, a one-way geometry, or a loop, or something else. Again, roads are not behaving normally. The mapping companies have suppressed public navigation to Lockwood, but the town still appears on several map layers. Some users report that when they zoom in, Lockwood flickers between modern satellite imagery of forest and a street grid. Others see only blank terrain. Official agencies are telling the public not to rely on consumer maps tonight. The state GIS office has taken a fresh aerial image from outside the boundary using a high-altitude aircraft. The first pass shows lights where Lockwood is located, but the image resolution is distorted by fog. Infrared shows heat signatures consistent with occupied structures, not hallucination, not just visible light, heat, homes, people, engines. A town's warmth, that is an oddly emotional phrase, but it is what the data suggests. Lockwood is not an image. It has heat. We have a new WCVR transcript. Martin Gell says Sheriff Bell has confirmed that morning services and school activities are suspended until further notice. Residents should conserve phone use and remain with family. If you are alone, turn on your porch light and call the station. We will keep a list. If you are alone, turn on your porch light and call the station. That line has been repeated twice. The station is becoming a second roll call, a way for isolated residents to be counted. This is why local radio matters in disasters. It knows the names of streets. It knows what a town sounds like when it is afraid. It can say, "Mrs. Hanley on Pine, we have your message," in a way no state alert ever could. WCVR is not just evidence tonight. It is infrastructure. The Communications Authority has decided not to override or interrupt WCVR. They will monitor only any outside message to Lockwood residents will go through Sheriff Bell and, if needed, WCVR's own announcer. That is a wise choice. Let the town hold itself together. We are now hearing from the County Historical Society. Lockwood's original slogan, "A good place to come home to," was adopted in 1968 during a campaign to attract mill workers and young families. It appeared on the welcome sign, school yearbooks, diner placements, and WCVR station mailers, "A good place to come home to." Tonight, that slogan is doing more work than anyone intended, because Lockwood has come home, perhaps, but to a world that moved. Or maybe it has been standing still while the world was the one that left. That is something we should remember. From Lockwood's perspective, the outside disappeared, the county did not come, the road closed, phones failed, the fog came, the siren sounded. And then maybe only a night passed. To them, we are not rescuers from the present. We are the missing world returning late. We should be humble about that. We have a new report from the liaison inside the sheriff's office. Sheriff Bell has asked whether the town can see sunrise. That question surprised the liaison. Bell explained that on October 13th, 1984, the fog nights had been getting longer, and residents had begun saying the ridge kept the morning out until the siren cycle cleared. If accurate, Lockwood residents may have experienced prior nights where dawn was delayed or obscured. That aligns with the time drift. The question now is whether dawn will stabilize the town or whether the town only holds through the night and becomes vulnerable again near morning. The Weather Bureau reports Lockwood station time is now 12:41 a.m. Drift persists but has slowed. The ridge fog remains but no longer advances. The second siren has not sounded again. Phones inside town continue intermittent ringing with no caller. Residents are being told not to answer unless caller ID, well, caller ID is not common there, unless the ring pattern matches the sheriff's office or known family. That is how the station phrased it, known ring patterns. A reminder of 1984, people knew phone calls by pattern, timing, habit, not screen. The old world had its own verification methods. Tonight, some may be safer than ours. Modern responders are being asked to turn off non-essential phones near the boundary because several devices began receiving calls from numbers assigned to Lockwood exchanges discontinued decades ago. When answered, the lines produced static, then voices. Responders have been instructed not to listen. Do not listen to open lines. Again, the old note was right. A communications technician who briefly heard one of the calls reported hearing a child asking, "Is the road open?" The technician disconnected immediately. The line logged no incoming number afterward. We do not know whether the voice was a real resident, an echo, a signal artifact, or something connected to the ridge event. The instruction remains, do not answer anomalous calls. The Lockwood incident is forcing authorities to treat communication itself as a possible hazard. Radio is safe when controlled through WCVR and official monitoring. Telephones are questionable. Open lines are dangerous. Unverified voices are dangerous. Second siren dangerous. Headlights on East Road dangerous. Voices outside dangerous. The town's survival rules are all about not responding to invitations. Do not answer. Do not follow. Do not approach. Do not leave. Stay lit. Stay counted. Stay together. That may be the deepest rule of Lockwood. It survived tonight by refusing to respond to whatever called from the ridge. We are now receiving a preliminary psychological guidance memo for families of Lockwood residents. It says any contact must be gradual, mediated, and trauma-informed. Family members should not begin by saying how many years have passed, who died, who aged, or what world events occurred since 1984. They should begin with identity, reassurance, and immediate safety. Identity. Reassurance, immediate safety. That is good advice for more than this. A person pulled out of time does not need a history lecture first. They need to know they are not alone. State Command is preparing the first controlled family audio message, not live conversation, a recorded message from Sheriff Bell's son to his father to be reviewed by psychologists and delivered privately if Bell agrees. Sheriff Bell's son is 62. His father inside Lockwood appears 52. The son is older than his father. There are no easy words for that. We have another update from Ruth Mallory's family. Her children have arrived at the coordination center. They have been told their mother is alive and medically stable. They have not yet seen her. Doctors are preparing them for the possibility that she remembers them as children. One of them reportedly brought a family photograph from 1984. That may help or hurt. We do not know. We have a statement now from federal officials. Federal technical and emergency personnel are assisting state authorities with an anomalous geographic and communications incident involving the former township of Lockwood. The area remains restricted. There is no indication of hostile activity, environmental contamination, or threat beyond the immediate controlled zone. Public cooperation is essential. Anomalous geographic and communications incident. That is the federal phrase, not time, not reappearance, geographic and communications. They are starting with what they can measure, a road, a signal, a boundary. Maybe that is wise. The rest is harder. We are now approaching external 1 a.m. Lockwood time, reads approximately 1:38 a.m. The town remains, WCVR remains, Sheriff Bell remains in contact, residents are still indoors, no further siren activity. Fog stable. State Command has allowed one additional responder unit to enter with medical supplies requested by residents, insulin, antibiotics, blood pressure medication, and updated first aid equipment. They are not distributing modern devices widely. They are logging everything. One question being asked now, what happens to objects taken out of Lockwood? The state has removed small samples, air filters, water samples, a newspaper, a diner receipt, and a coin from the service station. So far, objects do not appear to age, decay, or change when crossing the boundary. The newspaper remains dated October 13, 1984. The coin remains ordinary. The diner receipt uses ink and paper consistent with the era. Objects can cross safely. At least so far, people from Lockwood are the issue. That raises the possibility of sending messages, photographs, medicine, printed information, and supplies in and out while residents remain physically inside. For now, Lockwood may become a town connected by exchange but not movement. A quarantine of time, that is not official language. But it may be reality. The first Lockwood newspaper brought out has been photographed. The headline matches the archive scan, Ridge Fog closes East Road again. The date, October 13th, 1984. Price, 25 cents. The back page includes a Lockwood High football preview, an advertisement for Elsie's Diner, a church supper notice, and a small classified listing for a used washing machine on Pine Avenue. Ordinary, that is what keeps striking me. The impossible arrives wearing ordinary things, a diner receipt, a football preview, a porch light, a sheriff's office, a station jingle. Maybe that is why this feels so sad. Lockwood did not return as a ruin begging to be studied. It returned as a town trying to finish a Friday night. We are receiving a new report from the Ridge monitoring team. Acoustic sensors placed outside the boundary detect faint mechanical vibration from the North Ridge area, but no visible source. The Old Town siren is located near the firehouse, not the Ridge. The industrial siren tower, if historical maps are correct, should be on Ridge property. Current aerial imagery cannot confirm the structure due to fog. State Command is not sending personnel to the Ridge before daylight. Again, good. The Ridge has done enough tonight to earn patience. We have a listener question. Could the Ridge be another town? The Ridge appears to be terrain associated with Lockwood's original boundary and possibly its old tower infrastructure. But we should be cautious. The second siren, phone voices, road loops, and fog appear associated with that area. Whether that means a physical structure, an environmental effect, or something else is unknown. The people of Lockwood speak of it almost like a place with agency. The Ridge is eating signals. The Ridge is calling. Do not answer the Ridge. That may be local shorthand. Or it may be what experience taught them. Dawn will matter. Federal and state teams plan to survey the Ridge after sunrise if visibility improves. If sunrise comes, I do not say that dramatically. I say it because Sheriff Bell asked whether the town can see sunrise. The outside world will see sunrise in a few hours. Whether Lockwood does at the same time is now a data point. We have a new WCVR message. Lockwood, this is Martin. Sheriff Bell has confirmed the town remains under road hold. We are still here. We will begin morning verification at first light. If your porch light has gone out, call the station. If your neighbor's porch light has gone out and you cannot reach them by phone, call the sheriff's office. Do not go outside to check. Porch light gone out. Another verification method. Lights are not just comfort. They are proof of occupancy. Proof the house is still connected to the town's count. If a light goes out, maybe a household is in trouble, or maybe the town loses track of it. We do not know, but the rule is clear. Report, don't go. Stay inside. Stay counted. We are now hearing that several porch lights did go out during the siren event, but all have since been restored except one on Hollow Road. Sheriff Bell has sent a local deputy and one state liaison to check from the street only. No entry unless necessary. The Hollow Road house is occupied by an elderly couple, according to WCVR's roll sheet. They answered roll earlier. Phone now busy. This is the kind of small event that would never make a national broadcast on any normal night. A porch light out, a busy phone, an elderly couple, but in Lockwood, every light is part of the town staying anchored. The deputy is at Hollow Road now, fog thin, house visible, porch light dark, curtains open, no movement inside. He knocks, no answer. Sheriff Bell instructs him to call through the window if visible, no response. State liaison reports a faint ringing heard inside the house. Phone ringing, not busy anymore, ringing, they are instructed not to enter yet. WCVR calls the house over radio. No response, Sheriff Bell decides to enter. State command objects. Bell says, if they answered roll and the light went out, that's my job. He enters with local deputy and state liaison. We wait. This is a small house on Hollow Road, not the center of the mystery, and yet the studio is completely silent right now. Because if the rules matter, this matters. They are inside. Living room clear, kitchen clear, phone off hook, bedroom door closed. They hear a voice from behind the bedroom door. It is calling both occupants by name. Sheriff Bell says neither voice belongs to them. He orders everyone back. The state liaison reports the voice now sounds like his own dispatch supervisor. Bell says, do not answer. They withdraw. As they leave, the porch light turns back on. No residents found. The elderly couple is missing. That is the first confirmed resident disappearance since the town returned. Hollow Road household, 2 residents missing after porch light failure, phone off hook, unknown voices from behind closed bedroom door. The house remains, the light returned. But the people are gone. WCVR is not announcing the names yet. Sheriff Bell is notifying family inside town. This is devastating for Lockwood. It also suggests the danger is not over after the siren. Some households may still be vulnerable if phones are answered, lights go out, or voices are followed. We are waiting for more details. The state command is now ordering all Lockwood residents to leave phones on the hook and not answer any calls unless they initiated contact through WCVR or the sheriff's office. WCVR is broadcasting that now do not answer incoming calls, keep porch lights on, remain in common rooms, do not isolate, do not open interior doors if you hear voices behind them. Interior doors, that is new. Voices behind doors, the anomaly may be changing behavior after the failed siren event. Or these were always part of the late night rules. The old note said phones repeating voices. It did not mention doors. We're now in a prolonged hazard phase. The town held, but something inside it is still trying to separate people. That is how it feels. Separate them from homes, from roads, from phones, from each other. The defense remains communal. Stay with family, stay visible, stay counted. The state has asked WCVR to initiate a continuous townwide check-in every 15 minutes until dawn. Martin Gale agrees. He sounds tired now. The transcript captures a moment where he thinks he is off air or perhaps away from the microphone and says, I don't know how many times we can do this. We do not know if he means tonight or since 1984. That is a horrifying possibility. What if Lockwood has lived this night more than once? What if from the town's perspective it has not been one night but repeated versions, partial memories, deja vu, rules learned from failures they cannot fully remember? The residents may not know they vanished for 40 years, but they seem to know rules they should only know from experience. Do not answer the ridge, do not follow voices, keep lights on, roll call, curtains open. Maybe those rules were written during the first event, or maybe the town has learned them in loops we cannot see. We do not know. We are getting a preliminary statement from a federal scientist on scene. He refuses to call it time travel. He says the working model, very preliminary, is localized temporal and spatial discontinuity with persistent civic structure. That is a mouthful, localized temporal and spatial discontinuity with persistent civic structure. In human terms, the town is out of place in time and space, but still functioning as a town. That last part may be what makes Lockwood unusual. It is not just a hole, a portal, a fog bank, or a road loop. It is a civic structure. A community. The town survives because its institutions survive. Sheriff, radio, household roles, porch lights, neighbors, school, diner, church. The anomaly may have taken a place, but the place remained organized enough to resist being dissolved. That is not scientific language. But it may be true. We have an update on the missing Hollow Road couple. Their names are being withheld, but WCVR has confirmed 2 residents are unaccounted for after a household light failure. The station is asking residents not to panic and to remain in groups. Sheriff Bell has suspended all non-essential household checks until the next roll call to avoid drawing responders into voice events. That is a painful decision. If a light goes out, instinct says go help. But help can be bait. That seems to be one of Lockwood's central horrors. Compassion can be used as a door. The road calls with headlights, phones call with voices, the ridge calls with a siren, a house calls with a porch light going dark. Every human impulse to answer becomes dangerous. So the town has built rules around not answering. Again, do not answer. That is the command at the heart of this. We are approaching external 2 a.m. Lockwood time, approximately 2:46 a.m. The drift remains but is not accelerating. Fog stable, ridge quiet, WCVR active, 2 residents missing, 1 resident outside under medical care. No outside personnel missing. The state is preparing for a dawn survey. Dawn, if synchronized to outside time, is roughly 4 hours away. If Lockwood time continues ahead, dawn may appear there sooner, or not at all until the anomaly permits it. We do not know. Sheriff Bell has asked WCVR to play music between roll calls, not silence. He says silence makes people listen to phones. That is practical and chilling. WCVR is now playing soft music from 1984, low beneath public instructions. The sound is warbly, analog, warm in the way old broadcasts are warm. It makes the entire event feel like it is coming through a cassette left in a basement. Several responders outside the boundary have said listening to WCVR makes them feel homesick for places they never lived. That may be psychological. Old local radio has a way of sounding like memory even when it isn't yours. We are receiving a report from one of the mapping services. Lockwood's street grid is now stable across their system, but historical overlays show an anomaly. When comparing satellite data from the last 20 years, the Lockwood area consistently appears as forest, but tonight's live emergency feed shows urban heat and light, no gradual construction, no hidden settlement, no roads visible yesterday, town visible tonight. The simplest explanation is no longer data error. The simplest explanation is the impossible one. Lockwood was not there. Now it is. We are not supposed to say sentences like that on air without official confirmation, but official confirmation has been arriving in pieces for hours. A town was absent from the world's instruments yesterday. Tonight it has streetlights. We have a new WCVR roll call. Pine Avenue complete, Maple Street complete, Church Street complete, Carter Lane complete, Hollow Road incomplete, 2 missing, Schoolhouse Drive complete, Diner complete, Service Station complete, WCVR complete. WCVR complete. When Martin Gell says WCVR complete, his voice almost breaks. The station counts itself. That is important. The radio station is not just reporting the town. It is part of the town. If WCVR goes silent, maybe Lockwood becomes harder to hold. The Communications Authority is now providing backup power suggestions to WCVR through Sheriff Bell. The station has a generator, fuel supply unknown. Power grid stable but unexplained. They are advising not to switch systems unless necessary. If it works, don't touch it. That may be the general rule tonight. If a thing in Lockwood is holding, do not disturb it. The East Road remains closed from inside and inaccessible from outside. Residents continue to ask about it. Some believe opening it will reconnect Lockwood normally. Sheriff Bell is no longer sure. State officials believe the East Road may be a hazard or loop mechanism. No one will attempt it before dawn. We have just received a strange report from the external side of the Route 18 spur. A modern vehicle approached the outer checkpoint from the direction of Fairmont. State police stopped it. Inside was an elderly man and his adult daughter. They had bypassed initial traffic control using a farm road before the perimeter expanded. The man is a former Lockwood resident who was outside town in 1984. His name is being withheld. He says his sister is inside. He says he heard WCVR on his car radio, and WCVR read a school announcement naming her homecoming committee. He tried to reach the town. He is now being taken to the Family Coordination Center. This will keep happening. People will come. A return town creates gravity, not physical maybe, but emotional. Roadblocks can stop longing. Officials will need more than barriers. They will need counselors, family liaisons, information, hope measured carefully. Too much hope becomes a crowd. Too little becomes cruelty. We are now in the long, fragile hours before dawn. Lockwood remains The mystery deepens. The immediate panic has eased, but the underlying problem has not. A return town is not resolved by surviving one siren. A return town asks to be integrated into a world that has already mourned it, mapped over it, legislated around it, and forgotten details it still considers current. Tomorrow, if Lockwood remains, the state must bring in food, medicine, historians, doctors, lawyers, engineers, psychologists, and maybe clergy. It must explain computers, cell phones, missing decades, dead relatives, changed laws, altered counties, dissolved companies, demolished roads, and why a hazardous materials incident was used to describe a night of fog and voices. It must decide whether residents are free to leave if leaving harms them. It must decide whether children can be kept in a town outside normal time. It must decide whether a sheriff from 1984 still has authority over citizens who legally vanished. And it must do all of that while the ridge waits, because nothing tonight suggests the ridge is finished, only quiet. We are receiving the first light report from Lockwood's eastern horizon. This is surprising. Lockwood time reads 4:58 a.m. External time is 2:42 a.m. inside the town. The sky to the east is beginning to pale. Dawn may come according to Lockwood time. The outside world remains dark. That means if you stand at the boundary, you may be looking into a town where morning arrives before the land around it. Field cameras are being adjusted. Responders at the inner checkpoint report a faint gray light beyond Main Street, while the checkpoint behind them remains under full night. That image is extraordinary. Night outside, dawn inside. Lockwood is not merely a town from 1984 placed in our night. It is carrying its own morning. The fog is thinning faster now. The ridge becomes partially visible. There is a tower silhouette, possibly the old industrial siren tower. It should not still be standing, according to some records. But there it is on the ridgeline, dark against the gray. State command is not approaching. Good. Let daylight do some work first. WCVR announces first light is visible over Lockwood. Residents should remain indoors until Sheriff Bell confirms road conditions. Do not leave your homes yet. Hollow Road residents, please keep lines clear for official contact. WCVR will continue morning coverage. The town has reached morning. It's survived the night. Lockwood remains. At the external perimeter, people are crying. Responders, not family members, responders. Because after hours of fog, sirens, voices, impossible records, and a town out of time, morning has appeared on the wrong side of a road. Sometimes the body reacts before the mind has a theory. The ridge fog is lifting. The tower is clearer now, a rusted metal structure. Siren horns mounted at the top, something hanging beneath them. No movement. Thermal imaging shows no human presence on the ridge. Acoustic sensors silent. The second siren is off. State drone operators are asking permission to launch at dawn inside Lockwood time. Permission denied for now. Signal hazard remains. A federal survey team will approach later with Sheriff Bell's knowledge. That matters. Do not treat Lockwood like an object while its residents are watching. This is their town. Even if the rest of us are terrified of it, we have final overnight roll call from WCVR. 2 missing from Hollow Road. All other households accounted for. The missing couple remains unlocated. Sheriff Bell says search will begin after full light. State command wants to wait. Bell says full light is when you search for neighbors. Again, tension between local duty and external caution. I suspect a compromise. Search from outside first, then controlled entry. The broadcast is now receiving a new WCVR message that appears directed not only to Lockwood, but beyond it. Martin Gell says, for anyone from the county still listening outside town, Lockwood is here. We held through the night. We need medical assistance, road information, and help contacting families. We do not need panic. We do not need crowds. Tell them we are here. That is the first direct appeal from Lockwood to the present. Not dramatic, not mystical, practical. We are here. We need help. Do not panic. Tell them. So we are telling you, Lockwood is here. The state confirms it. County confirms it. Federal agencies confirm the incident. The town remains restricted. Residents remain inside. The public must remain away. But Lockwood is here. The official morning briefing is beginning. The governor, emergency management director, state police commander, public health commissioner, and federal liaison are present. The governor says the Lockwood area remains under restricted access. He confirms that a populated settlement is present at the former Lockwood Township site. He says residents appear to have experienced significant temporal and informational discontinuity. That is the closest official language yet. temporal discontinuity. He confirms one resident crossed the boundary and is under medical care after rapid physiological age adjustment. He confirms 2 residents are unaccounted for inside Lockwood. He confirms no threat to surrounding communities. He confirms WCVR is operating and being monitored. He confirms the midnight siren event occurred and is under investigation. A reporter asks whether Lockwood traveled through time. The governor says, "We do not have a complete scientific explanation. What we have is a community in need of careful assistance." That is a good answer, maybe the only decent answer. A community in need of careful assistance, not anomaly, not spectacle. Community, that language matters. He says family contact will be managed through official channels. He says no one should approach the perimeter. He says roads will remain closed indefinitely. He says schools in nearby counties will operate on delayed schedule due to traffic control, not direct danger. The briefing continues. A reporter asks if Lockwood residents can leave. The Public Health Commissioner says, "At this time, we do not consider unsupervised exit from the Lockwood boundary medically safe for residents." That is official now. They cannot safely leave, or at least not without risk. The federal liaison says survey work will begin after stabilization. He refuses to speculate about other towns or other historical sites. Interesting that he was asked, because we have something new. A county survey team reviewing historical road data has found a fresh sign on another closed road approximately 50 miles north of Lockwood. Not a large sign, a small directional marker, weathered but readable. It points toward a place called Mercer's Pike. Mercer's Pike was a settlement abandoned after a flood in 1952. The sign was not there yesterday, according to county maintenance records. Now it is no road opening confirmed, no lights, no radio signal, no town. Just a sign. Officials are not connecting it publicly to Lockwood yet. They are investigating, but this is how the ending of tonight's story may widen. Lockwood may not be the only place trying to return, or perhaps Lockwood's return has made maps remember other absences. We do not know. The federal liaison refused to speculate. We will not speculate too far either, but the sign exists. Mercer's Pike, 11 miles, that is now in the county log. We are nearing the end of this long overnight broadcast. Lockwood has survived to morning, though morning arrived there before it arrived here. The town remains visible, inhabited, and restricted. 2 residents are missing. 1 resident is outside under medical care. WCVR remains live. Sheriff Bell remains in command inside town. In coordination with state authorities, families are registering. Officials are preparing careful contact. The ridge waits under daylight, and the map once again has changed. I want to end this segment by returning to the image from just after the siren stopped. Porch lights in fog, curtains open, a town holding itself in place by making sure every household could still be seen. There is something deeply human about that. When the impossible came for Lockwood, the town did not fight with weapons. It did not understand time. It did not have science for what was happening. It had a sheriff, a radio station, a roll call, and porch lights. It counted itself again and again. Pine Avenue complete, Maple Street complete, Carter Lane complete, WCVR complete. A town saying we are still here, one household at a time. Maybe that is why Lockwood returned. Maybe places like people can be held in memory if enough names remain connected. Or maybe that is too sentimental and the truth is colder, stranger, more mechanical. The scientists will look for that truth. They should. But tonight, before the reports and committees and perimeter maps and legal hearings, there is one simple fact. Lockwood came back, not as a ruin, not as a headline. As a town with lights on. By morning, Lockwood had returned to the map. The problem was that the map had begun making room for others. Good night.